My mother and grandmother were both working independent women. Unfortunately, they left the financial aspect of all of that to my father. So, growing up, it was really my father. And at that time, I mean, people were not as financially savvy, right? So, it was PF and deposits, and he had just started dabbling in stocks. So, I think it has. I think a few things have happened. One, since when I grew up, so many young girls are entering the workforce or they're doing startups themselves. So they're earning money at a very, very young age. And there's a lot more talk about financial independence. Secondly, because of technology, investments which 15 years ago was very hard, how do you do it? There's so many blogs and resources and tutorials and everything out there that it's very easy to learn how to do the basic things right as a man or woman who's starting to invest. So it's not difficult to invest anymore because the number of resources, shows, courtesy, all the stuff guys like you do, there's just so much out there. And third, there's a lot of talk about the importance of financial independence for women. So I think these three things coming together just make the environment a lot easier for young women now. I think it's important, but also realize that, you know, the word investment and perhaps the financial services industry is a little guilty of this because we've got so much jargon in this industry that sometimes you think it's very, very complicated. The first thing I would say is that investments is simple, and it's not about being a professional or a stock trader about talking about this stuff all the time. It's just about doing the basic things right, and for 90% of us, honestly, that will work. Mentorship is important, but it doesn't need to be a personal mentor. It doesn't need to be a person. It can be a blog, it can be a website, it can be a set of tutorials or people that you follow, and that whole ecosystem I think is out there. But the more important thing to realize is that just doing the basic things right is okay for 90% of people, me included, by the way. So I started earning when I was 19, when I did my first internship, and I started working at 21, which was reasonably early. I don't come from a corporate family, I come from a government family, so investing was, so we're very conservative by nature. And I've made my fair share of mistakes, but I started earning at 21, which was a very good time in the US, which is where I started earning, and that's when I started investing. So I would put away a corpus, I would save, I would put away a corpus. I started investing in equities in 2005. Obviously have made my fair share of mistakes, learned a lot of lessons along the way, but I started reasonably early and I'm pretty thankful for that actually. So I think the whole notion of financial independence in investing has really, in a big way, enabled me to achieve my dreams. To take it back personally, I started working in 2005 until 2009 I was investing, and then I decided to move back to India to start a business without family backing. I was only able to do so because I had invested. So I think people talk about investments in terms of fulfilling education, in terms of marriage for women, but for me, it enabled me to start a business on my own without backing. So in some sense, it was a realization of a dream for someone, and that only happened because I started saving and investing right. So the first thing I would say to anyone starting a business is start investing and spend wisely, because business expenses are large. I've been an entrepreneur for 4 or 5 years, and you never know when they rack up. And by investing wisely, you'll give yourself a few years of headroom, you know, even if the business doesn't do well. Secondly, realize that the business is risky. So your investments don't have to be very, very aggressive. Today, markets give you and funds give you so many options that are very, very intermediate. We tend to think of investments as either very conservative or very aggressive. For most people in life, the middle ground is very, very important. So entrepreneurs need to realize that. And thirdly, take it slow. So don't be in a rush to do everything in one go, and don't compare yourself to what everyone is doing, because an entrepreneur situation is very, very different from a working professional's. I haven't planned my career in life, but the one thing I always say is I like to set high aspirations for myself. So when I moved back to India to start a business, I didn't know I'd be running an AMC. I'm running an AMC now, and all I'm thinking is how to grow this and how to do really well and how to be my best every day. So that's the thinking, and hopefully just doing the best you can every day and building a good business and building a team will define what the next 10 years are. So I haven't planned it out, but I know I want to do a lot of things, and I know I want to just do my best every day. Make mistakes, make big mistakes, small mistakes, glorious mistakes. Just make mistakes and get back up and get started. It's beautiful to make mistakes because all of us make mistakes. Set high aspirations, because if you do set high aspirations, you'll achieve them. The world will always tell you, he did it that way, she did it that way. Do it your own way and tell your own story, because you're very different from anybody else out there. You are you, you're unique. Tell your own story, and hopefully the world will listen.